Welcome back to Just Scott Radio on BJPenn.com. I'm your host, Cole Shelton, episode 155. We got a good lineup here at the UFC Fight Night card at the Apex on Saturday. But first up, we're actually joined by the founder of BKFC, David Feldman, just to kind of get an update on bare knuckle, some big fights upcoming, some news. We talked about his meeting with Dana, some expansion places he wants to get into, getting into Nevada. So a really good chat with David and just kind of getting some updates on some big key fighters like Eddie Alvarez, Mike Perry, Paige Van Zant, and all that. We're then going to be joined by Jairzinho Rozesntruik. He is the only interview we got on this card, but he is the main event as he fights Shamil Gaziev. Talk to Jairzinho about what he knows about Gaziev, just his second UFC fight, and he's already getting a main event, coming off that nice TKO win over Martin Buday in December. And then we talked about how this fight was supposed to be in Saudi Arabia, gets moved, whether or not that changed anything, but Jairzinho's really looking to get back in the win column. Lost to Jailton Almeida in the first round back in May, didn't fight since then, so he's ready to make a statement and prove he's still a top 15, top 10 heavyweight. And then we close things out talking to former UFC featherweight Steven Peterson, just an update on how life's been in retirement. He's about a year retired now. It's kind of talking about what he's been up to and whether or not he ever thinks about possibly returning. We know MMA retirements don't last forever, but be sure to share the show, subscribe, and tune in next week for another episode of Just Scrap Radio. All right, we're joined by BKFC's David Feldman to just kind of get some updates on the promotion. David, how's it going, man?
Doing great, Cole. How you doing?
I'm doing well. Like, one of the first things I want to touch on is on your Instagram yesterday or today, you were posting how it was some good news for bare knuckle, some signed stuff. Like, are you able to elaborate of what that exactly was?
Uh, Slightly, but not. I can't go in depth. I mean, we've been working on some big deals, really around the world, and that's part of some of the deals that we're working on. I know that's very vague, but
Mhm.
until it's actually completely everything is done and completed, we're gonna have a formal announcement, actually a press conference for it. It's gonna be a really big change for BKFC. It's gonna um, add a lot of different marquee events, add a lot of different marquee fighters, and really be a big step for BKFC in the right direction.
And I know, like, we've been talking for a couple of years now about your promotion and kind of just getting bigger and bigger all the time. Like, is it surreal to you about how big it's gone and like how places are now reaching out to you to host events rather than like you kind of having to explain like this is all fine? Like, can we host an event here?
It's crazy, man. Like it's surreal and so real. Like it's crazy, man, because it's like so real that I work literally, man. I'm working 18 hours a day, 7 days a week. I don't sleep. You know, I got the best team around. We're humping every single day, man, to get this thing to the next level. And then it's surreal in the way that like I go to places and people are like, dude, your stuff's gonna be bigger than the UFC, or your stuff's gonna be bigger than this or that. And I'm like, listen, relax, it's not there. But thank you so much. And when I travel in other places around the world and they're like, oh my God, I can take your picture, man. Like I saw you do this and I saw you do that. And I'm like, wow, man, that's when it gets like, damn, man, this thing I started a long time ago actually turned into something, right? Like it's
Mhm.
hard when my friend actually told me like this. He said, listen, Dave, man, you're living inside this jar right now, and all you see is all the work around you. He said, every once in a while, do me a favor and step outside the jar and read the label and just look at what you have accomplished. And what I do is actually, my mentor told me to do this is every once in a while, not a lot, but every couple of months, I take an hour out. I Google BKFC David Feldman, and I look at all the shit that we did, man, and it's just it truly is incredible, man, because there were so many times where we could have quit, where we should have quit, and we just we didn't, and we kept going, and now we're one of the most talked about combat sports promotions in the world.
And I know you're meeting with Dana White. You can't really get too much into it, but I wanted to more ask about like over the weekend. He was very complimentary of you, saying like he thought you're a very nice guy and liked kind of what your head, like where your head was at. It's like, what's that kind of mean when Dana White praises you? Because a lot of these other promoters, like he takes shots at and he doesn't like too many of them.
Now you know what? Because why? I'm not dogging other promotions, but why are you going to say that you're bigger than the UFC? I mean, come on, man. I mean, the UFC is a juggernaut. It's the NFL of combat sports right now, right? It really is. So why are you going to take shots at him? Look, what the guy did. Yes, he had funding, but what he did to take a company that was $50+ million in the hole and turn it into a $12 billion valuation. I know he's got a great team around him, but to lead his team to that direction, I mean, how can you not say that the guy did a hell of a job. I mean, really, I don't care what you say about fighter pay, what you say about all this other stuff that he does. He took a negative $50 million project and turned it into $12 billion.
Mhm.
That's incredible. And look, I liked him. Honestly, man, it was like weird. At first, I was like, I don't think this is going to go the way I wanted it to go. Like the first 5 minutes, and then we just got into real talk, and I really like the guy. Like he's a real guy, man, and I like him.
And then kind of building off that, I know you're trying to get into Nevada. Is there any update on when that decision will probably be made?
I'm actually in the middle. It's funny, so I'm in the middle of finishing up the application for Nevada right now. I think we I think the end of this month they're either voting on us or they're putting us on the agenda for next month. And I'm expecting to get approval. We don't know. I mean, they were all great. They were all receptive. They were all really nice people and appreciated. I think the difference between me and some other promoters that may go in there is I think they really appreciate the hard work and really everything I put into this. And I'm real, right? Like I'm real about it all. I'm not. This isn't someone gave me $100 million and say, go build something. I climbed every step of the way. And that's what I told them. I said, listen, I climbed every step of the way and I fell a million times. And here I am in Nevada pitching the biggest athletic commission in the world. Do you know what an honor it would be to do a show in your state, in Las Vegas? It would be unbelievable. Please give me that honor. Let me do that. So I think they appreciate that kind of stuff instead of people going in there like, listen, a promoter's license it's not a right, right? It's a
Mhm.
privilege, and they need to treat it as though it's a privilege. And I did, and hopefully we get the nod.
And then another place you're going to is you're coming up to Canada. Like I know it is out in Calgary. Like I'm from like an hour north of Toronto. So is there any other plans kind of expand out in Canada, or is it just kind of Calgary's the first step to see?
Nah, I mean we're at Edmonton, and then we're gonna go to Calgary, and then
Yeah.
we're 100% going to Toronto, Montreal. It's just we have somebody now that's going to work with the commissions for us and get that thing legal. I think that now that we have unified rules in the Association of Boxing Commissioners, it's going to be a lot easier for us now. We didn't put a lot of effort into that in the past, but I see Canada could possibly be our second biggest market in the world, and I really want to get up there, and we're going to absolutely. I project us doing 3 shows in Canada this year and maybe 6 to 10 in 2025.
And then one fight I wanted to ask about was Austin Trout becoming your champion. Like, what do you think that means for bare knuckle, where this high level boxer kind of comes over and not only does like this one fight, which we were like, all right, whatever, he's gonna have the one fight, but continues to do it and has a lot of success. Like, what do you think that says for your future in the with like getting these bigger name boxers?
My man, if it wouldn't ruin what I'm about to do, I would show you this last text message and you'll see the names of the fighters, the boxers that are trying to come over now, and you won't believe it. Literally, you'll be like, there's no way they're going to bare knuckle. And I'm even like, there's no way they want to fight for BKFC. And they're probably a couple of them are in the top 20 pound for pound fighters in the world right now. It's crazy. But yeah, and I think, I take my hat off to Austin Trout for giving us a shot and us giving him a shot and then giving him a shot at the title. And he made the most of it. And I think that seeing a high level boxer that's been in there with some of the best boxers in the world compete and do well in BKFC, I think that really helped us a lot for these other boxers that want to come in.
And then you have obviously the big Knucklemania 4 coming up in April. I know nothing's really announced that. Like, when do you kind of think you'll start announcing some of those fights for that card?
I was hoping to announce it today. I'm just waiting on the other side of the B side or the other side of the main event right now. We're very close. We're just going through a little bit of contract stuff, but it's going to be a big surprising name, and it's going to lead the way. And we've got some big boxers on that card. We've got a lot. That it's a huge card. It'll probably be the biggest card we've ever done, and I'm excited about it. To do it in California, where I didn't think I'd be legal in California for 5 more years, and now we're this magnitude of a show on there in Los Angeles, where all the stars are and everybody who's who in the world is there in Los Angeles. So it's going to be great.
Do you put a lot of pressure to make those Knucklemania cards like better than last year? Because like you look at like Knucklemania 1 compared to 2 to 3, it kind of seems like you're getting the cards better every year. Like, is that something, or do you think it's just like more fighters, more well known guys are like interested in bare knuckle? It's just kind of easier to make it as big as
I mean,
possible.
it's a mixture. It's got to be big names right now, But at the end of the day, is more importantly than that, it's got to be great fights. Like, it has to be the card that everybody was like, holy shit, that was unbelievable. Like, and, at the end of it, they're like, wow, that was a great card. And every Knucklemania so far, they've said that, and I want to continue that tradition. So, even more, like I said, aside from the names, it's making sure that these are really evenly matched, very competitive fights. And so far, from what Nate Shook has put together, and I peeked at the Google Sheets today, and I was like, wow, this thing's going to be exciting.
And then Mike Perry was on his podcast saying he wants Nate Diaz, or like, and then him and Hunter, he called Hunter Campbell. Like, have you guys spoken to Nate about potentially coming over? Or do you think he's gonna kind of stick to boxing?
I don't think he's going to come over. Not because he's afraid of it or anything. I just don't think. And look, he's been on a lot of wars. I don't think he wants to come over to this sport and get cut up.
Mm-hmm.
He's going to get cut up, and I just don't think he wants that. So that's probably not going to happen. But something else exciting is going to happen. Hopefully, that's announced by Friday.
And with free agency, like you look at when you first started, like not many people were even mentioning bare knuckle. When it came to free agency, it was always like, oh, maybe like when UFC guys are free agents, they'll go, oh, PFL or Bellator. Now it kind of seems like bare knuckle is that like first option for them. Like, what do you think that kind of says about your promotion, where some of these guys are just ditching MMA and going straight to bare knuckle instead of trying to stick in the UFC or go to like a PFL?
They say it like, I live by this, and I don't mean to be like a preacher right now, but I live by do the right thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we do the right thing. We do the right thing to the fighters. We do the right thing for the fans. We do the right thing. And that they tell a lot of other people to watch us, to fight for us. Our sponsorships that we're getting now are 10x what they were just a year ago. Like, because we're treating everybody right and we're doing the right thing. And I think that's why a lot of these fighters, we're being talked about very highly by fighters. And that makes these other fighters want to come to our organization, right? They came over here and we were just like, yeah, whatever, and no big deal. We didn't treat them right. That they could care less about coming over. Yes, we pay decent. Yes, we pay good, actually. Yes, it's a different opportunity for them to blow up, because a lot of these people, they're going, wow, you're fighting bare knuckle? Man, that's crazy, right? Like, if they go, like a UFC guy goes and fights for PFL or Bellator, again, nothing against them at all, but fights for them, they're going to go, oh, okay, cool, they're going to fight MMA. But they go into fighting bare knuckle, they're like, wow, they're fighting bare knuckle, that's crazy. So it just gives them a wow factor, gives them a chance to blow up, gives us a chance to blow up. And, you just keep treating everybody the right way. And eventually, things take off. Look where we are now. I mean, it's beyond my expectations of some of the conversations I have, and some of the people that I met, some of the pictures I took with people. Like, never ever when I started this thing thought that it was going to get to this point. I hoped and dreamed that it would, but never really truly thought it would. And we didn't even scratch the surface yet.
Just a couple more things. One guy I did want to ask you about, I don't know how much you could talk about it, is Alan Belcher. Like, what kind of happened with that whole thing? He was obviously a heavyweight champion, and he kind of vacated the belt, and then he moved on to boxing, and then obviously another promotion. Like, could you talk about what happened, or is that kind
Yeah,
of?
honestly, it was just money. Great guy. I like him a lot. He was offered substantially more than he was offered with us. And they came to me and said, can you give him a release? And I said, how much did he get? And they told me. I said, absolutely, let him go make money. That's another thing, right? Like, I do really want these guys to make money. If I can't give it to them, let them go make money. And they were, fortunate enough to be able to pay them the kind of money that I couldn't. And whether it's good or bad for them, I don't know. But at the end of the day, it's good for Alan Belcher. So good for him.
And kind of building off that, is that kind of the same thing that happened with Paige? Because I know she was saying her next fight was going to be in bare knuckle, and then she kind of said on her podcast, oh, she got offered a boxing fight, which you guys cleared. Like, is that kind of the same thing with her?
Not really. You know what it was? It was my fault with Paige. Honestly, I slipped, and I forgot to. I probably didn't get in touch like I was supposed to, because I actually wanted her on this Knucklemania card. That's the one I wanted her on. So, I kind of slipped on there. But she'll do the boxing match and come back. I mean, that was just one of those things. Unfortunate, and I really wanted her on this card, but it's not going to happen.
And just final person I want to touch on is Eddie Alvarez. Do you think we'll see him back in bare knuckle? Like, he obviously had that kind of crazy fight with Mike Perry. It seems like he was kind of made. Him and Mike Perry seem like the guys that are made for bare knuckle. Like, do you expect him to be back?
Yeah, I do. I think that once we get Pennsylvania opened up here in the next month or so, and I can schedule a show here in Philly, my hometown, his hometown, I think it'll be great to have him there. I definitely think he has more fight in him. He got caught by a bigger, stronger guy, but he was man, he was really doing great in that first round. He looked unbelievable. So he definitely has another fight or two in him, absolutely, and it's going to be with BKFC.
Just final thing is like with bare knuckle, like what is kind of this like? Do you have any goals for yourself this year, like to get into certain states or have these many shows, or is it just kind of still taking it
Well,
event by event?
we're going to do 38 shows, and every time I have a meeting it becomes 39 shows, 40 shows, 41 shows. Like, I don't know how many shows we can possibly do or how many places we can go, but the big goal this year is it's double. It's to launch this reality show and to get a television deal, and we're in talks very, very close with both of them. I know I've been talking about a TV deal for a while, but sometimes these things just take longer than I want them to. But that's the two major goals for 2024. Get funded. I mean, we're going to get really funded now, and 2025 is it's going to be crazy. I said it last year. I said give us 3 years, and I think we'll be the number 2 combat sports promotion in the world, and I see that happening easily in the next 18 months.
Well, David, I appreciate the time as always. Thanks so much for doing this again.
Take care, bud.
Yeah.
All right, we're joined by UFC heavyweight Jairzinho Rozesntruik, who's headlining an upcoming card on March 2nd. Jairzinho, how's it going, man?
Good. How about you?
I'm doing well. Like, a lot of kind of stuff happened with this card. It was supposed to be in Saudi Arabia. There was no main event. Now it's at the Apex main event. Like, what kind of has the past couple weeks been like for you, just kind of finding out all these changes for this fight?
For me, it's everything's still the same. The goal's still the same. The location had changed. Opponent's still the same. So for me, not much has changed. I'm already used to Vegas, so for
Mhm.
me it's better instead of travel so many hours to Saudi. Other than that, we keep working forward, developing, and now we got another person in front of us, so we keep going.
Uh, it you haven't fought obviously since May of last year. Like, were you hoping to get in another fight last year? Like, what kind of was the reason for this layoff?
It was yes, and I want some time off as well.
So,
Yeah.
was this about the right time frame for you then?
One more time.
Well, was this the right time frame for you?
Yeah, definitely. I wanted to fight end of last year, but this time is also a good time. Yeah.
And your opponent in Shamil Gaziev, like just one UFC fight, were you surprised to be getting him and like him getting a main event and a ranked guy just in his second fight?
No, I think this is because he has a perfect record,
Hmm.
which is impressive. So that's also a challenge for me to get a win over him. So I think that's the main reason behind it. That's what I think. Actually.
What did you take away from his debut fight? Like he looked very impressive against Martin Budai.
I mean, he do what he does. He wins, and now it's me to show him that this is the real deal. Of course, I'm gonna try to stop him, and yeah, I'm looking forward to it. It's an interesting one.
Mhm.
It's a big challenge, and I'm gonna be there.
With this one, like, is it the training camp still the same, just out in Florida with the usual guys? Are you bringing anyone different for this one?
The training camp's still the same at American Top Team.
Mhm.
Working on different things, developing, of course. Yeah.
And with Gaziev, like, how familiar were you with him when you got offered him?
First off, I heard he was at a gym, at our gym, American Top Team. I think he last camp, he was there for a month or some. I never met him. I never trained with him. Um, yeah. What can I say? He does his thing. He wins. So that make it impressive. And for me, it's a challenge to get in there and find a way to stop him.
Does anything game plan wise change with it now being a main event and going 5 rounds?
Yes and no. It's still the fight. It's still a fight. I can't put out the game plan, but there's a lot of things we've been working on, and as I said, it's an interesting one.
Are you disappointed it did get moved to the Apex? So it's just like in front of no fans again? Because you were going to have some fans of Saudi Arabia.
Yeah, but I'm not. For me, it's fine. As I mentioned before, I'm already used to Vegas instead of traveling all the way around, and yeah, so for me, it's fine. At the Apex, gonna be less fans, but we got things to handle, so we don't we don't think twice.
And how much do you think your experience will play a role in this? Like, you've had plenty of UFC main events. Like, you know what it's like preparing for those. Like, how much do you think that will benefit you in this one?
It might benefits, it might not. The biggest thing is get the job done, get my hands raised, you know. So this is what we're working on, and that's the only thing we've been working on, and we're looking forward to get our hands raised.
How do you kind of see it playing out then?
He's a big dude. He have an impressive record. He likes to fight forward. So we'll see if he comes to throw hands. We know the answer. Who hits first, that wins. And other than that, the game plan we're gonna see. I'm looking for a win, no matter what. So
With Gaziev, like, do you expect him to try to wrestle you just after seeing what some of your past opponents have done? Like, especially because, like, kind of whenever someone fights you, they always try to shoot on you.
yeah, I think everybody wants to wrestle me, especially that's not my background, and I've been working on it for years now. So I definitely think they're gonna try to wrestle me. For me, it's the key to get out of there, of don't get taken down, don't get in the wrestling position and put them away.
Is that what a lot of camp is spent on? Is just like takedown defense for you?
Now I've been doing that for a while as well, because it's MMA what we're doing. It's
Mhm.
not kickboxing, it's not boxing, it's MMA. So you've been working on wrestling classes, jiu-jitsu classes. We've been doing that all over again, hundreds of hours. But we've been working on a lot of things, and of course, my wrestling and my jiu-jitsu, I've been working on it for years.
If you'd go out there and beat Gaziev, like hand him his first loss, like what do you think that does for you in this division?
First of all, for me, it'll put my heart in a better place, get the bad taste out of my mouth, and then I'm looking forward again to see to climb the ranking, of course.
Has that been hard for you sitting on a loss for like 9, 10 months now?
Uh, it's not that it's hard, but it's always like you have an ego. You're a fighter. You're a human being. So the only thing you want when you have a loss, you want to go in there and then set things straight, feel better, and then go back in camp and start working forward.
With the heavyweight division, like it is still kind of murky. Like you have John sitting out, he's kind of holding out for Stipe, and then Aspinall is the interim champ. Like, what do you kind of make that whole situation where like Tom obviously is calling for that Jones fight, and Jones doesn't seem too interested in it?
I definitely think it's a really interesting part up there. But for me right now, I'm not busy with them.
Mhm.
I want to get done what is in front of me, and then I'm looking forward to climb the ranking again. There's a lot of guys that I didn't fight yet, and I'm busy with this journey right now. So I'm after this fight, you guys gonna see something else. I'm working on something.
Is there certain guys up there, like not even next, but just like in your future, you want to fight just to like say you fought them in your career?
Um, yeah, I mean everyone up there. Like
Mhm.
I didn't fight like how this guy called Ty Aspinall, the other guy who's Spivak. There's a couple name up there that I didn't fight. So it's the journey is still interesting, and everybody is greedy, everybody is hungry. So I'm focusing on getting back up there and getting interesting.
And the one name that always gets thrown out whenever you or him fight is Derek Lewis. Like, do you think that's just a fight that's gonna happen one day, just with the way you two fight?
Yeah, I think so. Eventually, it's gonna happen. But I also didn't fight Derek Lewis, yeah. But eventually, I think that's gonna happen because that fight was offered once, but it wasn't the right time, so we didn't do it.
Just last thing, like, what is kind of the goal then for you this year?
This year, I wanted to fight twice. Like I'm gonna fight in less than 3 weeks,
Mhm.
and then other than that, I want to go in there again, and then we'll see who it will be. But I definitely want to fight twice this year and get my body back to work. Feel good, get another win. So win 2 times this year will put me in a better place for next year.
Well, Jairzinho, I appreciate the time as always. Thanks so much for doing this again.
No problem, Cole. So
Joined by Steven Peterson, who's been enjoying his retirement a bit. Steven, how's it going, man?
It's going well, man. Just staying busy these days.
Yeah, I wanted to get you on. Like, it's been a bit like coming in on a year since you retired. Like, what's that? Well, I guess we'll start there. Like, what kind of has the past 11 months to year been like for you in retirement?
Man, it's like I retired so I could work harder. It feels like it's gone by so fast. Like it was like yesterday I retired, and I've had 8 events since then. So just promoting, coaching these young guys at Fortis. I teach the amateur program. So along with Macy Chasson, Uriah Hall, and Ramez Bahima, we basically run the amateur guys and giving them better opportunities than we had.
Is that basically what you knew? Like you knew when you retired, like you'd still stay in the sport though?
Absolutely. I just felt the time coming. It was like I've taken so many people's careers, like after they fought me, they'll like go downhill, and I started feeling some sort of like remorse, like fighting these young guys. Like I enjoy fighting. I love the shit out of fighting, but I just started feeling guilty, and I knew it was only a matter of time before somebody was gonna do to me what I had done to so many others. So it was just time for me to step aside.
Has there been ever? I know like MMA retirements don't last a long time for a lot of guys. Like, there ever been a thought in this year of just like, hey, maybe one more? Like, oh, maybe I'll ask the UFC what's up. I can get another fight, or is it like pretty solid?
Yeah, it's definitely a thought. My bottom line is it's going to cost $1 million. It's $1 million for me to get back in there and risk what I've already worked so hard for. I've showed who I am. I've proven my toughness and my grit, but every time I get in there, it's like rolling the dice. So it's going to cost $1 million because there's so many people counting on me.
In the sport, so did that kind of make the transition to retirement easier? Because I know I've talked to some fighters when they retire, like those first couple months are pretty tough on them mentally, just not knowing what to do every day, like how you had a set kind of schedule with fighting and training, or like is still training, coaching, like kind of easing that for you?
Yeah, it's really just a total change of pace. Like some days I have a full schedule and I just got meeting after meeting after meeting. But the one consistent thing is I go to the gym. I go to the gym in the morning. I go to the gym in the evening. I still train my private clients, teach my classes. But those meetings, it's like sometimes I have a full schedule and then everybody like cancels like certain days. So it's very unpredictable, and just dealing with like the corporate world, it's like people are terrible at like doing their job. So martial arts is the truest sport. So that's something that I stand by, and I bring that integrity into my business work. So just dealing with shit bags is kind of hard to deal with. But other than that, I enjoy the change of pace. Since I'm not training so intensely, when I get home, I work. So I get right to the computer editing and doing my business stuff. But yeah, when I was fighting, it was like, man, you got to take a nap, you got to sleep in it, you got to wake up early, you got to late nights training. So it was so intensive that my recovery was key when I was fighting. So I didn't have time to do all this stuff.
And just on your body, like how much easier has it been like physically for you not having to get in these grueling training camps?
Yeah, so physically I feel great nowadays. Like I've been fighting for 15 years and it just took a toll on me, like my health. A lot of things I didn't want to say while I was fighting, like dealing with hormone levels crashing from 15 years of cutting weight, and that led to me having a lot of issues on the scale. And long story short, those things are in the past now. So I've been able to recover over the past year, and yeah, just not training so intensely, just redlining. I've been able to get my health back in check, and as you see, like I'm not ballooning up. I just feel healthy. I'm probably lighter now than I was during my fight career in between camps.
Any regrets from your career?
Honestly, I have no regrets. You know, I enjoyed it all. There's nothing really I did that I would regret, but I'd say the main thing is I'm able to share what I've learned with these younger guys coming up. So stuff like not taking fights just for the money, or not fighting the toughest opponents for scraps. You know, I fought some of my hardest fights for next to nothing, and then you know, Chase Hooper. No, nothing against the kid, but that was one of my easier fights, and that got me a really good contract. So, yeah, just learning the business side of things. You know, not that I regret the path that I took, but I'm able to share that experience with the younger guys I'm managing coming up.
Anyone you wish you could have fought?
I would have loved to fight Cub Swanson. Really, I want that rematch with Julian Rosa. You know, that 100 grand really took a hit. So you know, getting my bonus, and then getting the win bonus, and then getting the 20% of my purse. That put me in a tough spot, and I was reluctant to make any excuses, but I was really dealing with some health issues, and I kept that inside. And you know, I know that, you know, nobody really cares when it's an excuse, right? So you know, I took that L, and that's something that I want back. I want to fight that dude again, and I think you know, if the cards fall into place, $1 million, fucking Dubai, Saudi Arabia, something like that, I think that'd be a good fight to you know, come back for one more.
Any plans on opening your own gym?
Fortis all the way, man. I'm running a kids program starting next week in Rockwall, and that'll be out of Sean Jordan Performance Center, I think. I forget the exact acronym, but yeah, it'll be out of somebody's place. Just running like teens and kids, more of you know, helping give these kids something to stay off the streets, stay out of trouble, like something that I wish I would have had, and I had it in high school, you know, training boxing in the garage, but you know, something from somebody that's been there to the top level to be able to give back to these kids. That's kind of my passion in this era of my career, and owning my own gym, Fortis. I plan on running that gym, and when Coach Safe retires, I'm going to be one of the heads. You know, myself, Charles Bird, Macy Chason, Ramiz, Uriah Hall. Like we're all leaders at that gym, so I plan on you know, continuing to do that, and I should be sitting at that table when the time comes.
Favorite moment of your career then?
It's hard to say, man. It's caught between two moments. The spinning back fist is an obvious, you know, top three, but winning the Legacy World title, that was the pinnacle of my career, in my opinion. You know, obviously I had to make it to the UFC, and that was kind of a formality. But in that moment, I was like, this is the end of a story. Like, it's a storybook finish. So my documentary I'm working on, coming out in May. We debuted it last May. Kind of got some good feedback, and we're gonna put it out on ochotv.net this May. That kind of shows that story and how it ended.
What was the reason for the doc then?
The documentary is kind of to share my story of you know, triumph over all the trials, and you know, kind of share my rock bottom moment, and how I overcame it. And you know, nowadays all these kids that I'm training, teaching, that have watched my UFC career, they don't know what led to me being where I'm at. It's something that I feel like is important to share, so that they can understand, you know, why I am the way I am, and how they can overcome their trials. Like we're also doing documentaries or mini docu series on different artists, different walks of life, Some of them fighters, some of them, rappers, singers, DJs. So kind of sharing their story and drawing all the parallels. I think it's really important for people to see that it's not all about you. You're not the only one going through stuff. So when you see other people go through something and overcome it and make something great of themselves, it can help you do the same.
Last thing, like, what's the future like for you? That look like for you?
The future's grand, man. I've been grinding for so long, and I'm never gonna stop grinding. So, hard work pays off always. It might not pay off right now, right here, right now, but I'm building an empire with the FFL. We have 8 shows of the past year. So, I don't know any other leagues that are doing them back to back to back just like that. As soon as they started, like LFA, but they had already gotten the ball rolling with RFA and with Legacy. Just I see that going to the sky, man. Maybe UFC Fight Pass. Right now, we air our fights on ochotv.net. So, building my own platform, and I think that's important to build your own thing. So, other people aren't going to support you until they see that you're in it for the long haul. And once that starts to, catch more traction, I feel like the sky's the limit with Ocho TV, with the FFL, Fortis MMA, and just everything we're building from the ground up.
Appreciate the time as always, man. Thanks for doing this.
Hey, funny it starts working now. Well, I appreciate you, giving me this platform and, give me a chance to share my story.